Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. We want to note that this meeting is being broadcast on the NUSD YouTube channel at the direction of the board. The broadcast may capture images and sounds from those attending the meeting. If you would like to make a public comment on any item on agenda or not on agenda, please see staff at the side table for a comment card. And we have some students who are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance now. If you'd like to come forward, whoever you are. There we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board did meet in closed session. Trustee Novato will report out.
Good evening. The board met in closed session on the following items: public employee discipline dismissal release, information only. Conference with labor negotiators Joshua Braff, Chief Financial Officer, and Francesca Whitcomb, Executive Director, Human Resources, and employee organization Novato Federation of Teachers, NFT, not discussed. Conference with labor negotiators Joshua Braff, Chief Financial Officer, and Francesca Whitcomb, Executive Director, Human Resources, and employee organization California School Employee Association, CSEA, not discussed.
Thank you. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Trustee Alexander, thank you. And a second by Trustee Pickus. All in favor? We have 7 plus 3 student trustees. Thank you. And consent agenda is next. Approval. If anyone would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda or pull any items for further discussion or moving. Okay, we have Trustee Pickus with a first to move to approve the consent agenda. Second by Trustee Gasson. Thank you. All in favor? 7 plus 3. Wonderful. All right, we now have announcements, and we'll start with our student trustees.
Hi everyone, I hope you all had a great break. I know I'm very excited to be back. Semester's almost over, so Samarin is doing everything yet nothing all at the same time. We're having a spirit week this week to welcome winter and bring more fun before we all have to start worrying about finals. So Monday was Cozy Day, where we brought stuffed animals and PJs. Tuesdays was slippers and crazy socks. Wednesday will be sweater weather. Thursday's below 0, so wearing like ski gear and things to stay warm. And then Friday will be our class colors. Freshmen are blue, sophomores are pink, juniors are purple, and seniors are orange. And then we're going to have a rally on Friday to really just bring everyone in before we're all starting to stress about our finals, which I'm sure the Wellness Hub has something great planned for us. Other things that are going on is our teachers are doing learning walks. It's a part of our school's partnership with the Center of Education Leadership at the University of Washington. Our teachers at Samarin started doing these late November, and the goal is for different groups of teachers to visit different classrooms, study what the teachers are doing and what the students are doing. The adults even quietly talk to the students during the class to see if students actually know what they are doing and why. Then the adults get together and talk about what they saw, so it's very cool to help one another become better at teaching, and we're all very excited about it. For the performing arts update, Samarin Musicals will be having our winter holiday classical concert this Thursday, December 4th at 7 p.m. and our winter holiday jazz concert on Friday, December 5th at 7 p.m. Both concerts will be at the Emily Gates Performing Arts Center with a $5 voluntary donation at the door. Samarin Jazz Choir will be performing at the Retired Teachers Luncheon at McGinnis Golf Course this Wednesday. Sorry guys, we're back from break and these are mouthfuls. Samarin Music Jazz Band and Jazz Choir heads off to Sacramento State this Saturday to perform at the all-day Winter Jazz Festival. And then the San Marin Drama will perform our holiday drama show on December 16th for Pleasant Valley and San Ramon students. And then for athletics, over Thanksgiving break, our boys and girls basketball teams got big wins to open their season, and girls varsity soccer won a dominating fashion 8-0 over Roseland Prep. Wrestling had 7 medalists from last week, 2 varsity girls, 2 varsity boys, and 3 JV boys. This week, all teams have non-league games, and San Marin will host the annual Freshman Boys Basketball Mustang Roundup tournaments this Thursday through Saturday. Our freshmen host Petaluma Thursday night at 8 p.m. in the quarterfinals. Thank you.
Hi, you guys. It's been a minute. Over at Novato, we started selling our annual wintergrams this week, which are $1 outside of the cafe, or there are QR codes you can use to place an order online. We have a Spirit Week next week, where Monday we have candy cane, red and white. Tuesday is flannels versus puffers. Wednesday is Winter Wonderland, wear your best snow gear. Thursday, festive clothing. And Friday, 'twas the night before finals, pajama day. This Thursday, we have a staff versus student soccer game coming up at lunch in the Gordon Gym. And then in ASB, we're preparing for things at the start of next semester, like Valentine's Day and our spring club fair. In other news, we have the comic book club selling custom comic strips this year, which are $3 by the cafe. And then MSA, MCP, AVID, and Leadership all have their applications out. So if you or your students have, sorry guys, like Maddie said, we're getting back from break. If your students have any interest in applying for these programs, talk to either myself or the teachers of these programs. So Shannon Morgan Miller, Stephanie Searle out there in the audience, Dr. Alma Siddiqui, and I believe Alexandria Kinney for AVID. Our counselors are working with our 9th through 11th graders on stuff for next year, which is exciting. Congrats to all the seniors submitting college apps. Hopefully UC app and CSU app went well yesterday. Other exciting news, Novato High, prior to Thanksgiving break, set up a food pantry where staff members and PTSA members got together to make a wish list of items on Amazon and at like Safeway and other places to get a bunch of food stuff to support families in need. And we were able to help over 70 families prior to break. And because we still have stuff left over, we're going to be continuing this throughout the rest of the school year. So I just think that's pretty cool. Bunch of MSA stuff coming up. We have concerts next week on Thursday and Friday for instrumental music and vocal music. We have the Sac State Jazz Festival this Saturday. Rock Band is performing at Sweetwater on Tuesday next week. And then there's a bunch of Dine and Donates coming up. One at Sweetwater before the Rock Band concert, and then one this Friday on the 5th at Grazie. And then, sorry, you guys, this is a really long report. MSA Theater finished up their incredible Little Shop of Horrors. We had a sold-out opening night, which was incredible. And all weekend, we had super good ticket sales. I particularly want to highlight the role of Audrey 2, which was designed by the theater teacher, Miss Heat, to be in drag. And I had the honor of filling that role, and it was so moving to not only be able to perform for the first time in a theater setting, but to have students and parents and other community members come up to me and say things like, oh, I came to this show because there was some form of drag representation. And I just think that it was absolutely incredible to be able to represent something that's not typically shown in most forms of media. So shout out to Miss He for coming up with that idea. And then we started our winter season of sports, and that's about it. Sorry for the long report. Thank you guys for listening.
Hello, it's nice to see all y'all again. I hope everyone had a good break. Friday before break, we held a annual gratitude luncheon. Leadership put the event together, and the culinary class made the meal. It was a fun way for our school community to appreciate each other and focus on what we were grateful for. Tomorrow, we will have our annual Trades Day. 7 local trades will be on campus to share what their careers are like, including the training needed, the cost, and how many years it will take to get started. Students will rotate through each table in small groups so we can learn about different career options. We also took our holiday photo, and over the next few weeks, some of us will be delivering our holiday cards to our neighbors as a part of community outreach. The week before break, Nova celebrated an open exit graduate. When students finish their credits early, they get to invite their family to watch them ring the bell and celebrate their early graduation. This Friday, Nova is hosting a PBIS brunch to honor 10 students who have shown responsibility, respect, and accountability. Also, on Friday, Marin Oaks will hold our Honor Roll Award ceremony at 1:15 p.m. to recognize students for their hard work and achievement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You all did a fantastic job. It's a lot going on, and it is just after break. I hope that everyone had a wonderful week off. Thinking back to before the break, it was fantastic to be able to be part of the Parcel Tax Oversight Committee and also the, in this room, the Parcel Tax Exploratory Committee. So I want to thank Dr. Smith and our CFO in the back, Josh, for all of the work that you've done with the roadshows, and the engagement, I think, with community is fantastic. I was a philosophy major in college, and when I was at San Marin with some of the other trustees and Dr. Smith and Principal Boone, it was fantastic to sit in a classroom and listen to students debate the foundational principles of the existence of God. So I had a wonderful time. I did not want to leave, and just really applaud the work that everyone is doing at the schools. Thank you.
Really interesting. Good evening, everybody. I wanted to kind of jump off of what you were saying. My most experience is with Linwood, where my children attend, and we also, it was really amazing to see the community come together and provide, there were food and turkeys and gift cards for families that needed. And a personal shout out to Sandra Guzman at Linwood, who I know has worked so hard and is going to keep our food pantry going as well. But I know that there are people at every site who have been doing that. It takes a lot of extra work, but it feels really great to be in a community that comes together to support each other. So thank you to everyone who contributed.
Just before the break, I was as well able to do the San Marin site visit. It was a very good visit. I did a webinar with the Legislative Analyst Office, which is otherwise known as the LAO, to get a fiscal outlook for the next year for 26. This always happens this time of year. It's always just their prediction, their outlook. Although the state has their revenues coming in above their projections right now, they are also projecting, though, a $35 billion deficit for the state of California. We've depleted all of our rainy day funds and all of that, so it's looking not all that great, but, and they feel the revenue increase is due to the bubble of AI coming into California. So it's a little grim right now, but keep focus on it and hope keep education at the forefront for funding. And I did get to opening night of Little Shop of Horrors, so way to go, Jonathan. And for the rest of the cast, they did an amazing job. I was able to tag along with Ignacio Rotary, who got a huge group together to attend the performance, and so it was a nice community event. Thank you.
I forgot my calendar, but I did many of the same things, and just appreciate everyone's working together between the parcel tax oversight and the site visits are always super fun, and allowing us to come on campus and take a look at the classroom and the work that's being done.
And nothing to report, but just want to say thank you to everybody for all your work you're doing.
No report.
Also no report?
I am not going to say ditto. I just really do want to shout out the wonderful classroom visits for San Marin. We really saw some wonderful teaching, some wonderful engagement from students, and just the level of interest for the teachers in terms of wanting to do more and do better and to really think about their craft and be able to discuss it with us. That they took the time for that was fabulous. And then I too attended, I guess it was opening night that Friday. And then I had to bring my daughter, and I saw it on Saturday as well. And both nights were fabulous. I've never seen Audrey 2 played in quite that way, so congratulations, you did a great job. Let's see, upcoming, we are finishing the semester, as our students well know. And so good luck to our students on their finals for high school. I hope to be able to see some winter sports in the next few weeks, and also some of the holiday concerts and events happening. We will be at the tree lighting on Saturday together with School Fuel, and we will see Book Box Betty will be there for the book giveaways. So hopefully we'll see lots of people down there.
Yeah.
And we have can you believe it? We are registering right now for next year for TK and K. So we have a TK parent night, 6 p.m. here. Is that right? 6 p.m. here on this Thursday, and then the following Thursday on the 11th is kindergarten.
Okay, we have a presentation this evening from San Jose Middle School.
It's not you, it's, it goes to sleep and I have to come over.
Do you want to come over here?
I'm leaving. So it's the arrow up and down to go back.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us, trustees and Dr. Smith. We always love being here to present to you. We have some very eager mathematicians and math teachers here with us this evening. I can't thank our teachers enough for taking time out of their day to be here. So I want to thank Mrs. Ergubian and Miss Cutting for being here, as well as our fabulous students. When I say your name, can you wave hello? We have Zane, Noemi, Adelina, Colton, Jude, whose birthday it is today, and Juliana, and Oliver, and the fabulous Mrs. Jones, our assistant principal. So thanks so much for having us here tonight to share with you the math way at San Jose. Our school is really focused on all the things, of course, but especially math this year. We have a stronger than ever teacher leadership team who is excited to share with you all the work that they're doing around helping our scholars develop as mathematicians. So I have the joy of handing it over, and we'll start with Mrs. Ergubian, our compacted algebra and 6th grade math teacher.
Oh, there we go. Good evening. There we go. I think that's working right there. So at the beginning of the school year in my classes, I let my students know that they're going to be the author of their own math book throughout the entire year. Each student has a graph-lined composition notebook, and we start with a table of contents. Of course, with 6th graders, we have to walk them through that very slowly to understand how to create a table of contents, just like any other book would have in it. Every day that we take notes in class, we start on our working page by putting the title of the lesson that we're doing that day, along with the date, and of course the learning targets that we're focusing specifically on. It's in their composition notebook that they take all of the notes during the class period, all of the examples that they work through, and all of their independent practice, their homework is all done in one spot. So they have everything in one place where they can always go back and refer to. At the beginning of every unit, I do pass out and give the students their own copy of the current proficiency scale. We tape that into the composition notebook at the beginning of that section of the book, so they have it there to refer back to, and they can use it to keep track of their progress towards mastery of those targets as we go through the unit on that. At the end of every unit, I do collect the composition notebooks, and using a rubric, I do score the books just to make sure that they are keeping up on having everything organized and neat in there. And that does go in the grade book as a habits of learning, conscientious learner grade for them of keeping that. So I have some wonderful students here tonight that want to talk about their experience in using the composition notebooks. And I believe, who's going to go first? Oliver's going to go first, please.
Hi. So I'm going to talk about how I use the table of contents. I always use it to study, and before I study, it's nice to have an exact page number to turn to, like for a specific unit or chapter. And so I always use that to find whichever unit we're on right before a test or something like that. And yeah, that's all.
Hi, I'm Juliana, and I'm going to be talking about the actual notes in our composition notebook. I think that they're really helpful to my education because, for example, whenever I'm stuck on homework or if I need to study a little bit more for a test, I can just look at my notes and everything I need will be right there. And I think that it's also helped my independence because we're in charge of writing all our own notes and keeping track, of course. And it is a comfortable pace for me because we get to decide how we want to study and learn our own way. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jude, and I will be talking about the student trackers. Student trackers are really tests and kind of quizzes and check-in scores that we've got. It keeps track of what we're understanding on different topics in a unit. I use it to see what I need to study for and work on the most when I'm getting ready for a test. It really helps me find what I need to work on the best and helps me get good scores on tests and study the right material that I'm looking forward to taking a test on. Thank you.
Thank you. Those were 3 of our 8th grade algebra students. So thanks so much, 8th graders. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Miss Cutting. She's our 6th grade math teacher, and she's going to talk to you about participating on the math task force and building thinking math classrooms.
Yeah, thank you so much. So since joining Novato, I was asked to join the math task force by Dr. Sinyard, and it's been a great experience seeing how all of the schools K through 12 are working together towards building mathematicians with the foundations of and collaboration with the 6 C's of Novato Union School District, Unified School District, sorry, and then incorporating that into our classroom. So we have been working with the Building Thinking math classrooms, and they were so kind and generous and provided us with large whiteboards, white books, and pens so that we can start utilizing the principles of the Building Thinking classrooms in all of the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classrooms over at San Jose. And part of the main idea behind it is incorporating, having all the kids participate, getting up, speaking, being with students that they wouldn't normally be with, and having them think outside the box and not just math skills, as we know them, and time test and all that we grew up with, but having them really put it to use and seeing how it's used in the real world. And it's been really exciting and fun. And the students seem to like the activities that we've been doing so far. But for so many years, I've always heard, when do we need to use this stuff? Why do we need to know this? And so we figured out a way to incorporate an activity so it's in real life. The activity you guys will be doing today will be showing the real life of how we wrapped up our decimals unit, where they had to incorporate every single aspect of decimals, including rounding and adding, multiplying, dividing, and the whole bit. So I'll let the kids take over from here.
We have some sixth graders who want to share with you their experience so far with building thinking math classrooms and how it's impacted them.
Hi, my name is Zane, and the whiteboards that we used in class for the building thinking thing, it helps us express our thoughts on a bigger piece of like paper, but it's whiteboard. But it helps us express our thoughts in a bigger place, and it's also good because it's big for a lot of kids, so we can fit like 4 kids on it, the one piece of whiteboard, and so we can combine our ideas to make ultimate ideas.
I have learned a lot of new things in math. I learned all about sales tax and how to use math when ordering from a restaurant. I also learned how to work with people outside my friend group, and whenever I need help, I knew my partner would help me.
All right, so are you ready for the in and out challenge? As Ms. Cutting mentioned, the skills and standards that were being addressed were all around decimal operations, as well as part of the graduate profile, so collaboration and conscientious learner. So I'm going to let our students share with you step by step what they had to do.
Okay, my name is Colton, and I will tell you guys step 1. So step 1, we had an individual task to spend $8, including tax, and trying to get the best 2-8 without reaching over tax, like over the amount of money that you had for step 1.
My name is Noemi, and I'll be telling you about step 2. So we had randomly assigned partners, and we had to spend $14 plus tax.
My name's Adelina, and I'm going to be telling you about step 3. So we had random groups of 4, and we had to spend $24 collectively, including tax.
So our students are prepared to help you experience building thinking math classrooms. So I think our algebra students and our 6th graders are going to saddle up next to you for a couple of minutes, and we will try it out. We have some in and out hats as a prize if you can stay under your allotted amount of money. So we got some resources coming around so you can experience it for yourselves. All right, I think we're gonna push you. As adults, we trust that you can do that sales tax calculation. So I think we're gonna push you to step number 3. So with your student helpers, you have the task of everyone gets to place an order, and you have to stay under $24. All right. Thank you. Okay, your menu has been posted for you. All right, let's see who got the closest in about 1 minute, okay? Remember, you don't want to exceed 24, as close to $24 as possible. We'll give you 1 more minute. We want to thank you so much for your participation. That collaboration, I saw a lot of smiles and what appeared to be joy. Imagine walking into a middle school math classroom, and that's what our kiddos are experiencing, right? So a big part of building thinking math classrooms is to help students develop a sense of like a positive math identity, right? Because it can be a sticking point for a lot of kiddos, and math tends to be a little bit of a scary topic. So thank you for playing with us. That was very fun. Do you have any questions for our team as we wrap up?
Do we have any questions?
Not a question, but
You can keep the hats. You look really good in them.
Okay, we might have a couple questions, comments, but we'd love to get a photo of you guys if we can, because you're so amazing. Do you want to be here? Okay. Definitely taller than me. Thank you.
super fun. Thank you.
Okay. That is a tough act to follow. We now come to non-agenda public comment. We're so glad to have public comment for any item that is not on agenda. 3 minutes is allowed for each commenter. However, we are not allowed to respond to these comments, nor are we able to speak about employees or student privacy matters. The board directs the appropriate staff member to respond to all commenters within 2 business days following our board meetings. And we have one speaker, Desiree Vidal. Desiree, if you want to use the microphone in the middle, and just so you know, there's a timer over there in case you want to be able to reference it.
Good evening. My name is Desiree. I'm here tonight because I need the district to understand the seriousness of what I've been experiencing. My safety has been compromised in ways that are completely unacceptable. My personal information has been given out, including what kind of car I drive, to an ex-boyfriend that I've had experiences with a domestic violence history with. I've had pictures taken of me sent to him. I've been approached publicly. I've been spit on, verbally abused, and physically assaulted. This is not a misunderstanding. This is targeted, dangerous behavior. This situation has destroyed relationships in my life that I've had since middle school. I've had to cut off friends. I've even had to cut off my own sister because she's connected with this woman's family. This is how far it's gone. Her daughter has talked about me to her friends. This is spreading out within the community. I've never had problems with any of these people until this woman inserted herself in my personal life. This is not normal workplace conflict. This is harassment that has leaked into every corner of my personal life. I was recently approached in a convenience store while I was with my child. I was called racially derogatory words, and I was told how much she hates me and how she's been waiting for me to hit her so she can have me arrested and put in jail. What kind of person says that? And what kind of system allows that to continue? I also want to address another situation as well. I was assigned a union representative during investigation. But when I walked into court to obtain a restraining order, I saw my union rep sitting next to this woman. How does that make sense? How is that ethical? How is that humane? I was left completely alone and unprotected in a moment where I was supposed to be supported. I've had to pay out of my own pocket using my money that belongs to me and my children as a single mother to buy a body camera so I can record myself in public because I do not feel safe and because nobody believes me. $600 so I can prove my reality. And I want to be clear about something. I'm in therapy. I've had to seek mental support because of this, and I am taking care of myself, and I'm doing my best to stay stable because I would never ever want to leave my children, but I am human and I am exhausted. There have been moments this year where I felt like giving up and nobody knew. The only reason why I'm still standing is because of my daughters. I'm here because my children cannot keep watching me suffer like this. I'm here because I refuse to let them think that this type of treatment is normal. I'm protecting them, I'm protecting myself, and I'm demanding accountability. So I'm asking, what are you gonna do? What steps will you take to protect me as an employee of this district? This ongoing harassment, violence, and retaliation needs to stop. I deserve safety. My children deserve a mother.
Thank you, Desiree. Our next agendized item is 12A, staff report student data from state dashboard update. This will be brought to us by Dr. Sinyard.
Good evening, members of the board, student representatives, and Dr. Smith. Thank you for having me. That was a fabulous presentation by San Jose. Thank you to the San Jose team. It's just fun, and I love presenting after folks that give such a great presentation. So while we're switching out of our math brains right now, I want to talk to you a little bit about our California State Dashboard Review. Just a quick little overview. The California Dashboard is a snapshot in time of both the district and site level student progress. It measures student academic assessments, behavior, engagement, and school climate. Those are the big categories. And there's 8 major areas that are covered in our local control funding formula. And the priority areas include our basic services and conditions, which go to talk about our credentialing of teachers, our facilities, whether in good condition, how we as a staff are implementing the California State academic standards, We discuss parent and family engagement. We look at, how many of our parents are participating in our PTAs, coming to our literacy nights, things along those lines. We look at student achievement, which is obviously through a number of measures. We look at our own local grade data. We look at state data. And we look at student engagement, which goes a lot with student suspensions, disciplinary concerns, things along those lines. We also look at school climate, whether or not our students want to come to school, how we are providing students an access to a broad course of study, which includes this at the secondary level, what kind of courses that we're offering, that we're preparing our students for both college and career. And then again, we're looking at how those students are performing in these broad courses of study. And so I just kind of already went through all of this fun stuff, but between the two different indicators, we have state indicators, which are representative in the dashboard. These are all the data that the state collects for us. So we report in our CalPADS performances on a number of issues. For the academic performance, this is our measures on the English language arts and the mathematics standards on the CAS scores. For English learner progress, they look at the number of students who are making progress towards reclassification, English proficiency. We look at how the students are performing on the LPAC, the English Language Performance Assessment. We look at chronic absenteeism. I know we've talked a lot about that. That's been a big focus of ours for the last few years, making sure our students are coming to school, and when they're not, how we're supporting them. We look at our graduation rate and the number of students that are earning their high school diplomas. We look at the suspension rate, and we also look at our college and career readiness. And our college and career readiness indicator is relatively new in the last few years, and it really looks at whether students are prepared or approaching prepared to be ready to be eligible for college and or career. And again, just lots of information. And then the local indicators, if you remember, we do a local indicator report towards the end of the year when we're presenting our LCAP. Basically, we meet these. These are all self-assessments. But how are we doing? How do we, looking at our own teacher force, our staff forces, do our teachers have the appropriate credentials? Are our facilities in good repair? How are we implementing the standards? Do we feel like we are implementing them with fidelity and sustainability, or are we struggling in certain areas? Again, kind of mentioned the parent involvement and family engagement. Again, I want to thank everybody for always completing our school climate surveys for our students, our staff, and our community. And again, kind of the reviews that we do of our secondary master schedules. Within the California dashboard, there are different levels. And so these are the color indicators, blue being the highest performance, red being the lowest performance. And so on these state assessments, on these state indicators, we will receive a color that we measure every year and move from there. And just kind of a big overview of our data from last year, from the 24-25 school year, we had an enrollment of 7,247 students. Of those students, 48.3 were identified as socioeconomically disadvantaged. 18.1% were our English learners, and 0.2 were our foster youth. And this category, these three categories kind of create our unduplicated pupil count. And these aren't all individual, because students can be one or you have multiple categories of which they fall in the unduplicated pupil count. And so this one is just kind of a big graphic representation of our colors. There's a table that's a little bit more concise that I'll go to in just a second. But these are our colors for the 25 dashboard. Again, chronic absenteeism, yellow, suspension rate, green, English learner progress, orange, graduation rate, blue, college and career readiness, green, English language arts, yellow, mathematics, orange. And then we met all the conditions for our local indicators. Here's just a little bit closer of a view where we can see how we are progressing towards standard. And so in our English language arts, we declined 2.4 points below standard. And then kind of from the year before, we've declined 4.6 points. In mathematics, we are 35.3 points below standard, and we declined 5 points. In English learner progress, we are in the orange. We have declined 3.5%. And in college and career readiness, we have increased by 2.7%, with 64.8% of our kiddos being ready for college and or career. Again, science is the first year that we've had the color for science. We are yellow in science. We've maintained. In our chronic absenteeism, we have significantly reduced. We're at 9.2 chronically absent, and we maintained at 0.1. Our graduation rate has increased by 4.7, with 95% of our students graduating. And our suspension rate has declined 0.4%. That's going in the right direction. And here's just a quick side-by-side comparison to see what our color bands were in the 24 school year, 23-24 versus the 24-25 school year. Just kind of reiterating what I just stated in those colorgrams here. And I'm going to move on, kind of taking all this information. So what are we learning from this? Kind of doing a brief data analysis. Some of the pluses that we're seeing are increased percentage of students prepared for college and or career, and that our graduation rates have improved. Our suspension rates have decreased for the majority of our sites. Again, we're maintaining a low chronic absenteeism rate at the majority of our sites. And again, a huge shout out to all the work with the attendance, positive attendance plans, and great job for the team. And a huge shout out to the number of students, our English learners who were reclassified last year. Folks are doing a great job monitoring our English learners and making sure that they're becoming proficient in English. Some of our big areas of focus include developing and refining our Tier 1 instruction and interventions across the board, continuing to improve graduation outcomes for all subgroups, continue to focus on supportive learning environments so that we continue to decrease our suspension rates and that students are being successful not only academically but behaviorally as well. Continuing to concentrate on addressing chronic absenteeism with the positive incentives and reinforcements, and again, constantly monitoring English language proficiency for our English language learners. In terms of kind of next steps, so this was our big overview with the dashboard. We did not have any schools identified for additional targeted supports and interventions. There's two different categories kind of with the dashboard. There's differentiated assistance and there's additional target supports and interventions. So the additional targeted supports and interventions do not require any kind of county working together. That's more of a local decision. We did not receive any status for that. But unfortunately, we have been identified for differentiated assistance for the performance of students who have been identified as homeless. And so what this means is that we work closely with MCOE, with the Marin County Office of Education, to really kind of look at our problems of practice and develop strong plans to help support our students who are homeless. We will work collaboratively to identify performance gaps, and these gaps include not only the academic behavioral supports, but also with chronic absenteeism as well. And again, one of the great things that we do, and we do partner with our Marin County Office of Education supports, is looking at what other services that we can use as a community to help support students that are identified as homeless at this point. So what we're going to do at the district level after kind of doing our big review and what we've continued to kind of work on is, again, I think we've set, the goals for the board that is set for all of us to continue to work on. We're going to continue focusing on those areas, which include early literacy, proficiency-based education, mathematics instruction, use of AI to help differentiation, our multi-tiered systems of support, and supporting our English language learners. We're going full steam ahead with keep monitoring those goals. We have continuing to identify and provide professional development to our staff to strengthen our Tier 1 practices in the classroom. We're continuing with collaboration for teachers to share best practices, continuing to refine and bolster our multi-tiered systems of support and intervention, and really target subgroup needs. And again, continuing to work with site administrators, our staff, and our Equity Imperative Committee to keep looking at data to adjust our instruction and intervene appropriately. And at the site level, again, kind of all the sites are looking at the data. They constantly are looking at their data, looking at our subgroups and how are our students performing. We are working on our data cycles and testing and adapting our instruction to continue the improvement that's needed. Staff will update their school site plans for student achievement as necessary. Again, constantly continuing to monitor student attendance. And again, we've talked a lot about positive behavior interventions and supports, making sure we have welcoming school climates and environments where students feel seen, heard, and belong, and continuing to implement inclusionary practices to develop concrete actions to address issues of equity. And so that is kind of our brief overview tonight. Thank you for letting me present tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Can you go back to a few slides where we're declining on the dashboard?
This one?
No. Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Why do you think we see a decline in some of the categories?
Sure. Kind of the decline, well, the dismissal is good. Chronic absenteeism. Again, kind of knowing a couple of our subgroups didn't maintain as highly as we needed to. It's a kind of a small subgroup population on that one for the chronic absenteeism. English learner progress. Some of the things that I wonder in terms, and this is just kind of, we talked about this last year as well for English learner progress, continuing to make sure our staff knows how to support English learners. So I think when we hit the LTELs, our students who are identified as long-term EL students, I think we need greater support with making sure that we reclassify them. So that's kind of an area that I think, while we did a great job reclassifying, we still have a number of long-term ELs. So is it more intervention early on and making sure kids are comfortable speaking? And I think one of the big things that, again, I'm really excited about is kind of the building thinking math classrooms, and really at the secondary level, as we're starting with the middle schools and high schools, having kids have more opportunities to speak and share their ideas and get more practice in there. So, but that's one of my concerns, and I think that's one of the reasons. Math, we declined 5 points. However, I really do feel like the math teams are getting stronger, and certain of our subgroups actually did better in math. And so overall we declined, but some of our subgroups are doing better. So that's a wonder. And then in the English language arts, declining to 4.6 points. Again, just as we continue to focus on early literacy and the science of reading and supporting our teachers in that way, I think our scores will become better and better, and to that extent. So that's just my rough estimate.
So thank you. I have had a lot going on in my head around this, and I would say I'm grateful for Santa Cruz public school system, because I'm always thinking critically about when I get data and really analyzing and figuring out. So I struggle with the whole concept of the dashboard, because I start thinking about what feeds into it, or how did the information come, and I know that it's what we have. I just question, it's such a basic way to look at things that I don't think really factors in different scenarios and timeframes. And I was talking to a teacher today, and I said it would be better and probably harder to track students and see the outcomes, and because you're constantly changing. The 11th graders, I mean, 1 year it could be just a pocket. And actually at the time when I was looking at it, I realized my daughter's in 11th grade. And when she was in 5th grade was COVID. So, I'm like, there's a lot of things that the data just can't share, because it's, I don't know. So I in principle, I think I know that they want to have some kind of basis or foundation, because it's important to see how we're doing. I'm just not entirely sure that this is the way to go. Having said that, if you go back a couple of slides to one of the first ones, that one, I started thinking, and it really became clear, because I think it's important. We need to continually evaluate and improve outcomes for all students. But when you look at the numbers and information, if you break that down, the ones that you can actually really have concrete information on are the graduation rates, the suspension rates, and college career readiness, all of which we actually did better. I mean, because it's a concrete thing. You either graduated or you didn't, and it's not a test performance thing or one of the other things that there's just so much information could go into it. I mean, in fact, when they were talking about decimals earlier today, I started freaking out because I switched schools and I didn't learn decimals at one school and they did decimals and it's trauma for me because it took me a long time to figure out decimals. And I was thinking, just something like that, if you just don't pick it up or you don't test well or whatever, there's a lot of underlying things. It doesn't mean it's not important, but I find it to be like to say we've decreased or whatever. I mean, what group of kids? Or one of the questions I was going to ask or point out is that the homeless students are within the socioeconomic bracket, correct?
Correct.
So I actually pulled the reports from the prior years because I'm like, okay, what other things are affecting this? We had a lot of newcomers coming in to our schools last year. And then I looked at the socioeconomic group. We went from 37.2 in the prior year to 48.3. So right there, we have a lot more students, and I'm just questioning if it's because of the bigger pool and percentage, it's indirectly, showing in a different way. Does that make sense? So I appreciate this, and I'll just close and say, Vernon Billy, with the president of CSBA, had a article or whatever, an email that went out about defining better ways of figuring out how to have better outcomes for students. And I think that that's where we kind of at this point need to go, is at the state level and say, this isn't maybe the best thing. Let's try to figure something else out and put money behind it, because we're just always scrambling and trying to figure these things out. And we should do all we can for the benefit of all of our students. So thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to add too that this is one measure. So, and again, that's one of the things that we look at, so many measures too. So we look at our local data. So we look at our IXL information. In the past, we were looking at Galileo. So trying to see that it's not just one snapshot in time, but how are we progressing? So thank you for saying that. Appreciate that.
Thank you. I will jump on that and say this is such a simple look at what's happening in our classrooms that it's like, oh God, we're in the orange or whatnot, but like there's so much complexity here. We had at a special board meeting a number of weeks ago where we were really digging into some of these questions, and that was really helpful to see sort of the long-term, multi-year approach that we're moving, the approach we're taking to kind of address some of these issues and some of these challenges. Just sort of anecdotally, I was chatting with some teachers who are piloting our new ELA curriculum, they were talking about how like a lot of the new curriculum that we're looking at has really great assessment tools. And so like I know that that's a part of the conversation, is how do we collect more immediate data to really figure out what needs to be happening in the classrooms. And also there was something else that I was going to say about that. Also a couple teachers were commenting that since more teachers have been trained in Heggerty, that they're seeing better results even 1 or 2 years later. Like 2 years ago, kids in second grade had significant reading challenges, and now these students who received Heggerty training in kindergarten, they're so much farther ahead than they were before. I think there's a lot of things that are already happening in this district, and things like building thinking classrooms. It takes a while for us to reap the benefits of that work. And so it's really easy to look at scores and I think say like, ugh, we're going down, right? But it's so much more complicated. And so through the other conversations we had at that board meeting and for people watching, I think there's a lot of great things happening in the district to try and move ourselves in the right direction.
So some of you know this, but I tend to focus more on change than actual current numbers, because change is indicative of where we're going. And so one thing that would be helpful if we could next time on slide 5 is to show change on those numbers to kind of set the story for the dials, if you will. Because the 18.1% of English learners, do we know what it was last year? Off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I do.
I mean, is it roughly the same, or did it go up?
I can tell you. Yeah, I have 17.8.
It's close.
Okay, so it did go up a little bit, but I was anecdotally thinking it went up, and that's what might be driving some of the declines in some of the subject matter. But anyway, that would be helpful to help me frame that. And then kind of on a different theme, I'll be candid. The math thing is really disturbing to me. I mean, sure, we declined 5 points, which is not good, obviously. But just the fact that we are so far below the standard, we got so much work to do. And would I be, because I've always said that nobody should ever say they're bad at math. They just haven't figured out how they're good at math or how they do math. And would it be safe to say that PBE is going to help us kind of really get to that root? I mean, I kind of heard it tonight with the San Jose kids talking about how they learn math different ways. They have the whiteboard, and they all get to the same conclusion, going different routes. Eileen Smith used to talk about that endlessly, and I loved it. But can you talk a little bit about how PBE might be able to help us really push on the math side?
Absolutely. So again, kind of what are PBE in general, what are our expectations in a classroom, and what do we want to see, and how are we defining our vision for student learning in mathematics? And that's actually what we're doing right now in the Math Task Force. That was our last meeting. What is our vision for student learning? Knowing that we're having kids, our ultimate goal, kids in Calc BC, right? That we're like, this would be amazing. But how, again, Algebra 2 being the gatekeeper class, like how are we making sure that every student has access to Algebra 2? What does this look like? What does it sound like in the classroom? And really defining that. Again, I think the work with the student trackers that they had mentioned, like what is it specifically that we are being accounted for? And what is the feedback that we're getting when we're not getting the right answers or working like that? I think we've talked a lot about this in the Math Task Force, is the culture and the mindset of math, because you just said it, so many kids might not see themselves as mathematicians. What's the hook? What's the in? How do we do things differently? And I think right now, like tonight, you saw a real world application of why am I doing this? Because a lot of the abstract concepts, people are like, what? I don't know. What are you talking about? But when I can say, I need you to learn this decimal because we're going to talk about what it looks like when you go to a restaurant and how you're ordering and planning and making sure you have enough money to cover the bill. Things along those lines. Looking at different ways to hook kids in. So you're going to have the kids who are completely linear and totally get this, and that's great, and they're going to excel. But for other students who, have risk aversion or, just worried to share their thoughts, changing the way and what we expect in the classroom and saying it's okay to take risks. We are setting up classrooms that encourage thinking, sharing, pushing on each other's ideas, having rich dialogue to say, yeah, I can see what you're doing, and where's my hook in? Again, where do I start? If I don't even know where to start, what's the first language that I can grasp in? And I think that's kind of one of the big things in terms of being very clear what our expectations are, setting up the environment and the mindset that, yes, we are all mathematicians, that if you don't know math, you're going to be left behind. And these are the real world reasons why you need to know this. And again, I'm sorry, I'm going to make a shameless plug, but there was a great movie that we got to see. Marin County Office of Ed shared this film with us. It was called Count It Out. I highly recommend folks to go take a look at this, and it talked about all the practical applications of math, and it's just aligns perfectly with our expectations of a proficiency-based education classroom. So I think we're ready. We're tackling. Again, I can't say enough about my Math Task Force team, too. I'm excited about that.
And I think it also aligns with what has been said, which is what are the assessments that are being used in this measurement here.
Smarter balance.
That might differ in terms of what our expectations are to make learning more interesting in the classroom and more relevant. In other words, like the CASP test, right? When you guys take it, is it interesting for them? Is it engaging in the same way that it is in the classroom? Is it really the assessment that we're looking at for math knowledge for the future? If that makes sense.
Right. And remind me, what grades do they take the tests at?
They start in 3rd through 8th.
Right.
And then in 11th.
Yeah.
So you have that gap, too. The high school is a weird gap for 2 years.
And if I recall correctly, I think I'm right, and I think I'll look to you guys, but there's not much engagement in that 11th grade test. People just kind of blow through it. So my question then would be, in these results, how much of that is skewed by the 11th grade results?
That's a great question. That is a great question. And again, it's the timing of the test too. I know it's a challenge. We get close to the AP exams. Students are very focused on that too. Again, we want every kid to always do their personal best and try as hard as they can. That's what everyone says, and it is somewhat of a reflection. Again, this is what we see as a community, and this is very public facing, and we expect all our students to do as best as they can. But that is a reality.
And I think there's no coincidence that the test-driven metrics are the ones that are hurting, and it's because of this lack of engagement. And I don't know how we get people to engage in taking a multiple choice test. I just don't.
We have Trustee Alexander, and then Student Trustee Walker, and then Trustee Gasson.
So my question is about the graduation rates. Looking at that, obviously, you can say students are doing better, or you could say we're not holding them accountable to the same standards and they're graduating. I'm assuming we're holding them to the same standards and they're doing better. However, given that we've got decreases in math and English language arts, how are we accelerating, or what's the strategy we've employed to accelerate graduation rates, given the other data that we're seeing? Are there specific things that you've done to say, all right, we're going to focus on graduation, and that's how we get the 4.7% increase this past year? But it's not quite adding up to me, and I'd love to hear just a little bit more about that.
Sure. One of the big growths that we had in the previous year or two, what we found out, we had a number of dropouts. This is one little factor. The previous year, we had a number of student dropouts, students who were English language learners who turned 18, say in December of their senior year, and they left the next day. So knowing that was a factor that we hadn't anticipated the previous year, so that was a certain factor that we helped students to say, okay, wait, if you're an English language learner, do you know you can stay here for a year? You can stay here for year 5. How can we work? And to make sure that you graduate, you need to get this high school diploma. Sorry, we're not letting you leave. You got to get this high school diploma. There's been a lot of individual conversations with, I think our counselors have done an incredible job. Our staff has done an incredible job. We do issues such as credit recovery over the summer. So if students are in danger of failing, we've worked very closely with them to make sure that they have opportunities to get back on the A through G track or earn your high school diploma. I think there's been a considerable effort, really, I can see where the discrepancy lies, but really making sure that students are eligible for graduation. We might take you off unfortunately, this might take you off the A through G track, but we want you to get your high school diploma. So there's a lot of conversations. I think, again, I can't say enough about the staff who really does look at each individual kid and say, okay, so if we're stuck here, our grades might not show this, but we can get you across this finish line. Let's do this, let's do this. Let's look at potential opportunities, working with our Marin Oaks friends, things along those lines to really make sure that we're going to get you that school diploma.
Sorry, just to go back to the last topic, I was wondering, as a junior who's going to be taking it, is it possible, I apologize if this was said, for it to be moved earlier or later, the test, to help involvement? Because I do know a lot of my friends who are now seniors were very burnt out from the studying for AP exams and mentally preparing for that I would hear about it like a week before, and they were all just basically dreading to take it, for lack of better words, because they knew it was just a long, draining test over a few days before they had to start, or they would go back to studying for AP exams. So is it, I don't know if it even is possible to move it earlier.
It is. So there's a window. So there's a window that's set by the state to say within this window of between March and the end of April, May, you have to complete your testing. So yes, there is a way to do that. I'm actually in a conversation with your admin team to talk about when we're going to place the test. So that's definitely in the works.
That's a great question. Yeah. Keep them coming. That's the kind of stuff we need to solve.
Does the I pulled the reports, but I didn't look at it. Is there a way to break down the data by the group of kids?
Yes.
So because I find that to be more helpful, like as you watch the kids. So they do.
Yes.
Have
So
that.
they'll give you subgroup data. Absolutely. I just do a big broad district. Oh, the cohort data. Yes, I can look into that for you.
Or I just was curious. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Right. I thought it was on something else. Anyway, I just, again, not to mitigate the importance of all this, but I just also think it's helpful to see, and part of it too made me think of it was when you mentioned the, I'm like, okay, what's the last name? The graduation, because I remember sitting here a couple of years ago, and that was a huge concern. And so we were really, so, you see the change, you see the movement and change. Okay, so we've done well. And then what's going to happen is we're going to go back over here. We need to make sure we stay on the graduation stuff. But yeah, it was nice to see that, because I do know that a couple of years ago that wasn't as strong. So thank you. I believe it's looking more of the data. If it's not on the dashboard, DataQuest does cohort breakdowns of students. So
two specific items. One was framing the information with a year or two back data as far as these numbers. Yes, okay. The population information. And then cohorted information so that we can see the same group over time to understand if the things that we're doing are working or not.
Absolutely. That I can do.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah.
I'll just say this. Debbie, this came out, 6 years ago? Something like that. And it is a revelation. And it really helps us to be completely transparent, to keep people accountable. It really helps us to see what's going on. So I love this process, even though it has its challenges. And I really wish you could fix the test taking piece of it. Anyway, just my public comment.
Okay, we're on to item 13A. This is the approval of resolution number 10, 2025-2026, Novato Unified School District to partner with Public Agency Retirement Services to provide a retirement incentive in 2025-2026. This is brought to us by Joshua Braff.
I remembered how to do it. Okay. So, yes, tonight I'm going to be presenting to you what we call PARS. It's the retirement incentive for our staff. This presentation is a booklet that PARS gave to me as the contact, and then I broke it down to the actual meaningful pages that we'll review tonight. It's like a 45-page booklet, so I made it much clear, because there's also a lot of different options that we would not be selecting. But first we'll talk about the demographics. So this is demographics of the ages of our staff that are eligible for retirement in the CalPERS or CalSTRS systems, right? So of course, Social Security has different ones, an IRA, pensions outside of this might have different ages. But the way CalSTRS works is it's 5 years and you're over 55, or 30 years and you're over 50. And then CalPERS, depending on if you started pre-2013 and past 2013, has some different rules as well. But if we look at, there's 4 groups. This first one is certificated non-management. There's 101 eligible employees with an average age of 60 3/4. Certificated management has 6 eligible employees. Classified non-management has 114 eligible employees. See our average age there of 61. And classified management and confidential have 4 eligible employees. So altogether, we're looking at over 200 eligible employees. The assumptions that were used, yes, it's really small on there. It's normal sized in the actual packet. It says that we're looking at certificated employees over 55 with 5 years of service, or over 50 with 30 years of service. Classified employees are over 50 with 5 years of service and a minimum of 0.5 FTE. They would resign from the district on June 30th, 2026, so the end of the school year, the end of the fiscal year. The benefit level, they ran 3 scenarios for us, an 85%, a 70%, and a 60%. When we get to the actual page, I'll explain what that means, but we're looking at the 85%. And the replacement salaries were put in there to say, well, what is the average of people that we've been hiring lately? So we put them in to say, if you were going to have to hire someone back, this is what you would hire them for. And then took into account healthcare costs, what the healthcare costs look like each year, and then, of course, the PARS cost itself, which we will detail on one of the final pages, is built into this calculation. So the cost is included the entire time. So this is a sheet that an employee would receive. So you're seeing what they will receive in their packet. Any employee, if tonight the board takes action to approve this resolution, all the employees that are of that 200 and I think it's like 215 or so people will receive a packet with this in it. And this details the benefits. So it will go in and it'll say your resignation date is 6/30, the participant birth date proving that you're eligible, what is your final pay rate that is estimated for this year. And then on the right-hand side is all the benefits. And so there's actually 15 different options that they can choose from. That is up to them. That is up to our employees. We don't choose that. We are choosing the benefit percentage amount. So as we said, it's 85%, which you see in that yellow box. So they have a bunch of annuities that they can choose from, which are full life or a number of years. This page here gets into the retirement projections. So what we're looking at 85% is 43 staff members taking this retirement incentive. 19 certificated non-management, 2 certificated management, 21 classified non-management, and 1 classified management and or confidential. And then what you see below that is a 100% replacement rate and a break-even analysis. So it says that if we were to offer this retirement incentive, and that amount of people took it, 43 people took the retirement incentive, but we had to hire back 43 people. So every single person that left, we need that position, so we have to hire someone back. It would cost us over the course of 5 years $199,000. So we have to be, the question that we're answering here is at what level does it then make sense? How many people do we not bring back? In other words, if people were to leave, we say we're closing that position, we're not going to hire it back. How many people would we have to so that this actually saved the district money and didn't cost us money? And that is 0 at the certificated non-management, 1 certificated management, 1 classified non-management, and 1 classified management. So in each of those categories, it would only take 1 person, but the certificated, because of so many of our staff members are at the very end of that salary schedule, even just offering it will save us money. So then this page here looks at, well, how many people are you actually not looking to bring back? How many positions are you looking to not fill? And that's sort of the reason why this is coming up, right? We just talked about a resolution last board meeting that details $4.5 million in cuts. That, of course, is going to lead to layoffs. This is the way that we don't do layoffs of people. We can do a layoff of a position, but the person tied to that retired. So no person was hopefully affected. So the idea would be that on the certificated side, if we had 19 people that did not, say we had 19 positions, 19 people took the retirement incentive and therefore 19 positions we did not have to fill, that's a savings of $10 million over 5 years. So, and that, remember, includes the cost of PARS in it, because PARS does have a fee. Certificated management, a milder savings because there's not as many of them. Classified has that same sort of scale with a maximum of $6.7 million. And then classified management, same idea. There's only 2 people eligible, so there's only 2 options there. This is the preliminary schedule. If we were to authorize this tonight, what the board would be authorizing, which is clear, so that it's clear for you to understand how this process works, is that tonight you're authorizing an engagement with PARS. I've engaged with PARS all for free. They did all this analysis completely for free. They do that just, of course, to earn our business. Tonight, we lock ourselves in for $5,000. That's their fee for service, okay? So if the board adopts it on December 2nd, mid-December, which actually they came back and they said it'd probably be by Friday. Friday, they will mail out the packets to all of our staff. In January, we'll have an orientation. And then in February, an employee workshop. And the orientation is a big group. We have all the staff that's interested come down to the district office and talk to someone from PARS. And a lot of times we'll have someone from CalPERS or CalSTRS there that can also help answer those questions. Of course, I'm around to help answer any questions that they have. And then we also make sure that there's translation for any of our staff members that need that. The employee workshop is one-on-one. So they can come down and get assistance just one-on-one. And this is all part of that $5,000. Then February 13th would be our proposed PARS enrollment window closing. That would be the last day that staff members have to let us know that they are going to retire and fill out and turn in their packet. March 10th is the next board meeting after that, which we will have done our analysis. We being HR and business will come together, do our analysis, say, does this make sense to us? Is it going to save us money, and does it destroy any programs? You know, did all the bus drivers take this and now we have a problem? We will come back and we will ask the board to now accept the resignation of all these people and to enter into the PARS program. At that point, the cost for service is 5% of the total dollar amount, and that is what's worked into the savings. Okay. But we will not have to pay that unless we actually go through with the retirement incentive. Then on June 30th, staff retire, and on August 1st, their payments start. So, excuse me. So I did misspeak a little bit. It's 5.5%, not 5%, 5.5%. And in the event that we decide not to do the incentive, then we pay the $5,000, and that's it. So tonight, I'm basically asking for your approval to engage with PARS with a minimum cost of $5,000 and a maximum cost of $5,000 if we don't go through with it in March. And then, of course, any questions?
Pretty impressed by their work here. It's very thorough, and I know we've done these plans in the past, but we just kind of just put it out there, right? And we didn't use any kind of service like this in the past.
We did do this one 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
This is the same one that we did.
I just don't remember seeing any of this detail.
Yeah, like we did it at 70% then.
Okay.
So we're looking at 85% this time.
Okay. Anyway, I like the presentation. Makes sense.
Thanks, Josh. I just had a question about the timing. So the March 10th, that board meeting, when do we have to do pink slips? What's the March what?
So it has to be before the 15th.
Before the 15th? Okay.
So the whole point is that we will actually be getting a report every Friday for anyone that signs up. Now, if this follows like last time, everyone will sign up on the 13th. So on February 13th. But that still, Franny and I chose that date with PARS so that we had plenty of time to know who would be bouncing and bumping everyone so that we can deliver the pink slips only to the people necessary.
That was the reason for my question. I just want to make sure that there's a lot of balls going in the timing, so thank you.
Okay, this is a roll call vote. Oh, do we have more questions?
Oh, no.
Okay, we need a first, a second, and then we'll roll call if we're so interested.
I want to motion.
Okay, Trustee Lametta has a first. Trustee Mack with a second. Trustee Alexander.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Gasson.
Aye.
Trustee Jacobson, aye. Trustee Lametta.
Aye.
Trustee Mack.
Aye.
Trustee Pickus.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to item 13B. We have Dr. Sinyard again. This is the review and approval of board policy and the administrative regulation update in the 5,000 series students. This is a first reading. It will come back on consent if we approve.
Thank you. So tonight I'm bringing forth board policy and administrative regulation 5113.12, our district school attendance review board for a first read. This policy and AR detail the district's procedures for conducting a school attendance review board, or a SARB meeting. And the goal of a SARB meeting is to help support a student and their family with improving school attendance. And these two, the BP, the board policy, and the AR and the administrative regulation, emphasize the proactive nature of supporting students in difficulty. The SARB process utilizes community supports to help students get back on track with school attendance and address issues of school avoidance. And one of the things that I think is very impressive about this board policy is that it's detailing the members appointed to the SARB, and it requires that the SARB consult annually with students who reflect the diversity of our schools to solicit input that will help the SARB team to gain a better understanding and propose interventions for student attendance and behavioral challenges. So I'm bringing these forth tonight for the approval of a first read.
And can I just clarify, these are practices we're already doing.
Correct.
This is just a policy that sort of
Correct. This is a new
backs that up.
Yes, exactly.
We have a question from Trustee Gasson and then Trustee Lametta.
So I guess my question is that, I mean, what caught my eye is about how it needs, this attendance review board and the Brown Act and all that requirement. So one extra thing that needs to be reported on, correct?
Yes.
And I'm so grateful that we have Mike, because
me too.
I feel bad that we have another thing. When are those reports then due? It sounds like there's an annual report. So is this like for next year?
Yeah, we could start again. This is a new policy, so again, we've been doing SARBs for years,
right?
And then this will just kind of codify it and kind of make us
because you have to form the committee and then do them. Okay, thank you.
Other questions or a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
What? Oh, no. We have a first motion from Trustee Pickus to approve and a second by Trustee Alexander. Additional conversation? I see none. All in favor? 7 + 2 student trustees, and this will come back on consent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our last item is discussion. This is item 14A. This is the discussion of school board member officers. So we are almost to the end of our annual term, and we will have some turnover of leadership. And that is the role of president and vice president / clerk. The information in the board packet includes the description of those roles. I've had the opportunity to speak with a number of you about these things and kind of get a feel for who has the availability and not. And I will share that Trustee Lametta has offered to be available to move into the president role, which would be lovely in my opinion. Obviously, this will come to a vote at our next meeting. So we can now open the conversation for anyone's thoughts, opinions, and who else would like to be interested in the secondary role.
I'd just like to kind of put out there, and you guys know this about me, that my calendar, travel-wise, just precludes me from really being able to put the time necessary to kind of move into one of those two chairs. I just can't be here regularly every week for meetings, and as a result, don't want anybody to think that I'm being snubbed in any way for VP. It's not. It's just something I can't do. But with that said, I'd like to nominate, see if Trustee Alexander might be interested in this.
You do not have to say something. You are welcome to say something if you would like. No decision is being made tonight. This is just the conversation portion. So if anyone else would like to speak, or Trustee Alexander.
Thank you.
I will first say I appreciate the leadership that has happened with the two of you. I really feel supported in my role as a board member and feel like we've had some great leadership happening in terms of the dynamic of our board, so I really appreciate that. And I will also sort of take my name out of the hat. I had a lot of personal things happening, which has sort of prevented me from fully engaging in the way that I would need to in these roles. So yeah, I'll take my name out, but would be excited to see who steps into these roles.
Okay, if I see no other comments, we will move on from this item. All right. Oh, I'm so sorry. We very much look forward to seeing all of you at our next regularly scheduled meeting on December 16th. We are closed.